You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa de Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping others live life with peace of mind and ease of heart without losing their, here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 203 of the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. So our top listen to episode of season 5 of the Free to Be Mindful podcast is this one, which was episode 182 called From Adversity to Triumph, Mario B's Journey of Resilience. And I loved this episode, and it's no wonder that it was the most listened to episode of the entire season because it talks about how we all come face to face with so many hardships and obstacles in life. Some of us more than others. This episode holds weight because it showed the power of the hustle and grind, of building real and authentic relationships with ourselves and with the people around us, and having faith in ourselves, having faith in a higher power, and having faith that things do work out even when you go through hard times. And as this is the final episode of season 5, I want to take a moment to encourage you to keep going, regardless of what you're going through, whether it's picking yourself back up after having a hard day, or whether it's pursuing a dream where you thought maybe doors may have closed, or doing something for the long haul. My friends, have faith in yourself, have faith in your journey, and know that you can do anything that you put your mind to. And as always, know that in a world where you are free to be anything you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Enjoy right now the most listened to episode of season 5. So excited for today's interview that I just finished recording because I got to sit down with a friend of mine who I have known for about 20 years or so. He first started out, before he was a friend, he first started out as my first salsa onto teacher. And then he was my choreographer and coach per se when I was on his semi-pro dancing team. And now he has turned into a friend who I'm so very proud of because of everything that he has accomplished, what he has yet to accomplish, and you'll hear his inspirational story of where he started. It is just an amazing story. To tell you a little bit about him, his name is Mario Gonzalez, but he is better known as Mario B. He has 25 years of experience and counting in the dancing light. However, he has done more than just dance. He's appeared on 5 reality shows, on multiple movies, in music videos, danced off Broadways, and has performed and taught in over 36 countries and has hosted about 8 salsa congresses and festivals within the United States. And the biggest one is the New York International Salsa Congress. Now, I will share with you, having gone to quite a few in my day as well. It is thousands and thousands of dancers that all go to the Marriott Marquis on Times Square in New York City. And they basically are all dancing the same language, so to speak. And you not only have people from the United States, but people come internationally to teach, to learn, to social dance, to compete. And it is just an amazing, beautiful thing. I am going to put a couple of YouTube links in the show notes so that you can see a little bit of what we've referenced because our words don't give it the merit that it really deserves. In addition to all of this, Mario B has also lectured at New York University and is now a yearly guest resident professor at Arizona State University, teaching and lecturing their dance programs and community. And on the show, he shared for the first time ever a new thing to his resume that he is going to add, which is phenomenal, especially when you hear his story. He has worked with some of the most legendary bands and artists, including El Gran Combo and a lot of the Fania All Stars artists. I love salsa dancing. So if you love it with me, you know what I'm talking about. And if not, you still have to listen to this interview because it's really amazing. I am very honored to have Mario on the podcast, and I know that you're going to be just as inspired as I was. I hope that you enjoy the interview and do make sure that you check out the show notes for all of the links referenced so that you can learn a little bit more about salsa dancing on two and about Salsa Fever on two, located in Jersey City, New Jersey. Here we go. Mario B, welcome to the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I'm so glad that you're with us today.
What's up? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody listening. How are you?
We are awesome, I hope. And I just want to give a little bit of background as far as how we know each other before we go into your story.
Yeah.
So he goes by Mario B, as you heard in the intro. And I met Mario in my early 20s, mid 20s or so, when I wanted to learn onto salsa dancing. And at that point, I used to teach in Ewing, which is by the College of New Jersey, where I went to school. And I used to live out there as well. And I would travel the hour and 20 minute up to Hoboken, where the Salsa Fever on 2 studio used to be at that point, to go take salsa lessons and then go out dancing in Hoboken on a Wednesday or Thursday night, and then make the hour and 15-minute drive back down to teach second graders the next day. So learned the love of dancing. And I truly appreciate that you brought that into my world and that I'm still engaging to at least some degree, although not as much as I used to. So that's how we know each other, which is pretty amazing. And you've done a lot of things since.
Wow, I had no idea the commute was that long.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah, that was in Hoboken. That was at the Planet, and it was a Thursday night, Latin night. It was right across the street from the Path in Hoboken.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then from there, classes got really successful and very well
Hmm.
attended. And then I moved up to the Hoboken Boys and Girls Club, and I started renting out space there, and that was heavily attended. Then I moved to the Monroe Center for the Arts in Hoboken, and I was there for a year. And then gentrification occurred in Hoboken, and rent skyrocketed. The light rail opened, and the rent went up super duper dramatically financially, and I couldn't afford it. It was either that or charge students a dramatic
Too much
fee.
more.
Yeah, and I don't feel, as I believe the reason why I'm here, dance brings that form of therapeutic release for a lot of people, right? In so many ways. So
Hmm.
and dance shouldn't be breaking the bank for anybody. Dance should be affordable, it should be accessible. And I said it's either stay here, raise the prices, or try to find the next best location. And that was up in the Heights in Jersey City.
Jersey City.
Yeah. Right
Nice.
now
Yes.
for 18 years.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. And I remember it was, I mean, back before I was married, so maybe like 16, 15 years ago or so, where then I followed you to Jersey City and was on your dance performing team. And it was a whole nother world prior to where I am now. But I'm so appreciative of it to have those memories.
Yeah. Did you remember when you performed at the Prudential Center?
The Prudential Center for a net game.
Correct. Correct.
Amazing, amazing.
That's
I almost
before they
forgot
moved
about
to
that.
Brooklyn. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there's so much that happened then and is happening now, but we got to press rewind and, see where you've been before we know to where you've gotten and then where you're going. So you don't know this, but when I was a
Oh,
school counselor, I used to talk about you all the
oh,
time to my students, because you hear a lot of kids saying, well, I want to be an athlete and I want to do this and I want to do that. And I used to use your story to inspire students to, yes, you want to be an athlete, you go for it and you do whatever it is where your heart is at. However, always have a plan B because you just never know. So I don't know if you wanted to start there or where you wanted to start to share your story, but I think it's phenomenal. So I'm so happy to have you here and sharing that
oh.
today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm very grateful for this opportunity. Anytime anyone creates a platform to share, positive feedback and personal stories, I think it's helpful because inspire and just open up that space for others to hopefully understand that they're not the only ones that are being challenged, or there's possibilities for everyone.
Yeah.
How does my story start off? Trying to make this as long and short as possible. Sound like an oxymoron. I started off as a professional athlete. I loved baseball so much, and my pro career didn't last too long. I got injured, I broke my hand, and was going down a bad road, a spiral. I started hanging out with the wrong people. Just started, not having any direction in life, and came home one day, and I was drinking, and I saw a Marine Corps commercial. And next thing you know, I was on a flight to Marine Corps boot camp in Paris Island. I had joined the Marine Corps. I know, it's crazy, from one day to the next. And I was in boot camp and about to finish my third phase of boot camp, and I re-injured myself.
Mm.
And I was sent home on an honorable discharge, not dishonorable, thank God, but an honorable discharge. And didn't know what I was going to do. Let me just go back a little bit further, where I grew up very oppressed, very
Mm-hmm.
poor. My parents didn't have an education. My dad came from Cuba not too long after the overthrow of Batista with Fidel and his
Mm.
regime. And my dad came over in the lottery, which meant he was only allowed to get on a plane with whatever was on his person, no baggage, no nothing. So my dad literally had to come here to the country to start from scratch. My mom just finished grammar school. She did not go to high school. So there was never a conversation at home
For
about
the future.
education. No, it was just about, you have to go and hustle and help mom pay the bills. And, my dad, obviously, because he had no papers, couldn't get a, government job or anything, that was credible enough to bring in good finances to help my mom. So my mom was supporting myself, my brother, my sister. Also, we had my cousin who was staying with us from Brooklyn. So it was a lot financially. So starting off there was never a conversation or any of growing up and becoming successful and gaining a career and having a family.
Yeah.
So with that being said, just going to college was never a thought. It was just never a seed that was planted early on. And just started working a job for a desktop publishing company in Hoboken. As I was working there, I was working third shift, and I run into a longtime friend of mine, Danny, who I used to play ball with in Hoboken, and he invited me to a Latin night in Sayreville, New Jersey. And that night there was a free class of salsa dancing. I had no idea. I was one of those stereotypical, and I don't want to say or throw the word ignorant around too much, but I was very closed-minded. I thought this is what salsa is, and that's it. Nothing else exists, and
Yeah.
and I
Not knowing
thought
that there was a full world out there.
not at all. No, not at all. Didn't even cross my mind. And then, I also was judging him like, oh, you can't dance, I'm Cuban and Puerto Rican. I got this. This is easy. I'm gonna embarrass everybody. And I actually went there and I was embarrassed.
Mm.
It was the first time I had ever seen anybody dance with structure. It
Right.
was just beautiful. It just looked like everybody was on roller skates, just gliding on the floor. And then it was also that other stereotype that you couldn't have that many Latinos in the same room without a fight breaking out or someone getting stabbed. And it was just a beautiful experience. I had never experienced that before. And because of that one experience, it just opened up a new realm and I wanted more. I was like, wow, I want to test this out and test the waters a little bit more to see what this is about. So I started taking classes. Yeah, I fell in love with it, and with my military, my sports athleticism, and also being a high school baseball coach. Um, I wanted to take the dance to another level, considering I was starting to experience just from my own journey going to different schools and different not
Mm-hmm.
schools, different studios, the lack of structure and the lack of
Mm.
organization. And one day a friend of mine said, hey, listen, I want to take a salsa class, and they told me, oh no, it's a ballroom class, it's not an on two class. And again, immediately I was judging and shooting it down. And They're like, oh, I don't want to go by myself. If you can, just come with me, whatever. I'm like, all right, fine,
Okay.
whatever. And I go there, and that day is what really transformed for me a major outlook on how to move forward if I want to teach and I want to take this to another level. And it was the hospitality that was missing, the
Mm,
organization, the structure. Every studio I would go to, it was the minute you would walk into the door, it's like $10, $15. It's like no hi, good evening. I walk into this ballroom school immediately. It's like, hi, good evening. Can I take your coat? Would you like a glass of wine? And I was
very
like, well,
different.
yeah. And coming from the hood, I was very defensive. I was like, wait a minute, they're trying to rob me, to take my coat or something. And I said, how come our salsa community doesn't have this? They don't have this hospitality. They don't have this welcoming environment. And I started to take note, and I started doing some homework, and that's what gave me the idea of opening up a studio and wanting to have that platform, where it's welcoming and it's not
Right.
about the money first. It's about the hospitality and the structure and having a syllabus and having cycles, organization. And I was the first one to implement that
Yeah.
at a studio. So there's more than that, because I'm not going to go to a college and the professor is going to be like, yeah, just read chapter one, give me 15 minutes. I'm going to come back and think about what I'm going to teach you for today. No, it doesn't work that way. So there had to be more. So I was trying to crack that code as why our Latin dance scene was also
Didn't have that.
oppressed. Yeah, we,
Right.
we weren't educated in that, and I try to bring that up from the basement up to the first floor.
You definitely did. And I will say, and just to rewind a little bit, to what you started with, I want listeners to understand, and we have listeners from all over the country and really all over the world,
Cool.
but there is a certain perspective when you are a first generation, when you grow up poor, when your parents don't know the language, when you have so many things that you have to fight through. And then
Mm.
to get to where we are today, and knowing that there's still so much to go. But I really wanted to highlight that because we have that in common, that first gen experience where you have to hustle and you have to grind and you may not have an exact direction. And even if you do, life happens and it brings you elsewhere. So to be a first generation Latino kid, poor from Hoboken, and then being, an actual professional athlete to the Marine Corps, to then a job because you had to pay the bills, you had to do what you had to do, and then find this whole world. And for those people who don't know the salsa world out there, it is a whole different planet, its own community, its own big
Yeah.
things that we'll get into a little bit. And all that you've done for that community is amazing. And as an educator and someone who's a little bit type A and really, that's the I's and crosses the T, that's when I went to Salsa Fever on two in Jersey City. I really appreciated that syllabus. I really appreciated that structure because I knew these were the 8 weeks, I believe, 8, 10 weeks.
Well, I started with four, then I
Okay.
flirted with eight, now it's six.
Okay, okay. So I think back then when I was there, it was 8 weeks, and you knew
Yeah,
exactly what you had to learn, what you had to do to get through to level up, so to speak, to the next level, to the
right,
next cycle. But that
right.
appreciation was so there that in Spanish we say familismo, right? That getting to know each other as people and building that community was so appreciated because it wasn't just you came, took a class and go. You really built friendships that now, 20 some years later, we're still in contact, which is amazing.
Yeah, it's a community that is has just has longevity. It's a lifelong skill. It's not something that you learn now and you can't take it to a wedding or a sweet 16 or just something in the even a living room or house party. It's a lifelong skill that you'll have, and you'll be able to share it with family and friends. But the struggle was real. Everything I
Yep.
tried just didn't work. Everything in my path was an uphill battle. With the
Mhm.
sports didn't work, the military didn't work, and then just trying to find acceptance in life and try to find, I don't have an education. What am I going to do? How am I going to provide? How am I going to make my parents proud? How am I going
Mm.
to, you know, uh, make a name for myself and just show some form of credentials that I was successful in some way. And back then, unlike today, today's generation can learn via YouTube if they want. Back
Very
then,
different.
or even promote on Facebook or Instagram or some social media platform. I was at 3 in the morning. I remember this, 3 in the morning, rain, snow, sleet, shine, whatever, with a backpack of
Full of
thousands of flyers,
flyers.
just going up and down the streets and putting these flyers. So if I put a flyer in your car, I apologize. But I was putting flyers on all over the cars. And that was our networking. It was either
Yep.
that or word of mouth. Everyone barely was flirting with the internet at the time because the internet was so new. And you probably, because you mentioned, this kid from Hoboken, poor kid from Hoboken. Yeah, people have no idea how bad Hoboken was at the time.
Very different than it is now, than the
Oh,
gentrification now.
oh, no clue. People have no idea. You couldn't give property away in Hoboken. Hoboken was considered the slums.
Mm,
Uh, but what Hoboken had and what Hoboken was known for at the time was its pride.
mm,
We were, 16th in the nation in baseball. We were so respectful in sports, and such a small square mile city was feared by many in the world of sports because of that pride we had. And we talked to each other, we played with each other, and we were family. I mean, we were broke, we were poor, but we had each other, and that was the camaraderie that we had to be successful. And
yeah, yeah.
that was something that till this day stays with me. And I even preach to my students today, the way you practice is the way you play. And I try to use that model with everything I do now. So
Nice.
I'm very grateful that sometimes, and I can't speak for everybody, that we have to start um, within that struggle bubble to really appreciate, to know what we have and what it's worth. So we can keep that humble reminder of, you got to keep working hard and keep striving. And
Yep.
hopefully, for every action, there's a reaction. And for everything that I do can help motivate others and hopefully leave that positive footprint for others to say, listen, if he can do it, then, maybe there's a possibility I can do it as well.
Absolutely. There's so much magic in that struggle, even though it's so
Oh,
hard when you're going through it. But I 1,000% agree with you that the way you do anything is the way you do everything. And
yeah,
that
yeah,
carries through, in all of your different goals and aspirations, whether it be personal and or professional. So let me
yeah.
ask you, do you think that camaraderie, as far as coming from Hoboken and the grit and resilience, perseverance that you had to have, how did it help you coming up with a studio and with this idea of this is, what I want to establish within the salsa community at a time where, as you said, social media wasn't there?
No, it was not. And also, I want to add my own personal struggles of being bullied from the
Mm,
age of 7. So, I mean, a lot of people probably don't know if you listen to the podcast. At the age of 7, I started to lose my hair, and I have alopecia, and I have the third most aggressive stage. And at that time, we're talking about 1983,
people
where there
didn't have
was
a clue.
little to no knowledge of what was happening. So I was immediately alienated from society. I'll never forget this like it was yesterday. I've had parents write letters to the school not wanting their kids sitting in the same table with me because they thought they
Wow.
were going to catch something. They thought I had cancer. They thought I was dying. Nobody knew. Doctors barely knew what the hell was going on. So from that moment on, I think the seed was planted for me to grow a very thick skin.
Hmm.
And for me, that was the beginning of my battlegrounds of, learning how to be strong and be not that we should all be punching bags, but learn to become a punching bag so you know how to fight back.
Yeah.
And
Overcome that
you
adversity.
Absolutely. And that really helped me because, sports not working out, the military not working out, and then, getting into the world of dance, I was also overweight.
Mm.
And I know I wasn't this obese person, but we also have this stereotype of what a
What a
dancer should
dancer
look
is.
like,
Yeah.
right? And we don't see too many chubby people prancing around on Broadway because we want someone fit. Sex sells, and we want to look at someone sexy and exotic. And I wasn't that person. So that was another uphill battle. That was another wall I had to break down and I know today, we can have a conversation about the LGBTQ plus community, but
Gotcha.
being chubby, we should add a C at the end of the plus for chubby because, I wasn't accepted.
Right.
I would knock on so many doors because I want to dance here, I want to dance there, and I was turned away because I didn't fit in. And one, I mean, if you just look at me aesthetically, I don't look Hispanic. I look
Nope.
Caucasian. I don't sound Hispanic, even though, I have Cuban and Puerto Rican roots. So, they just look at you from the outside and immediately judge. And well, yeah, he doesn't fit the description. Moving on. So being from Hoboken, definitely from the slums and growing up in that poverty and getting that early start of what bullying feels like and coming over that adversity and those challenges at an early age and just continue to fight those barriers. But also learning how to develop those team building skills as being an athlete. I think being an
Right.
athlete really helped me, learn those skills and learn what it's like to win and lose, not by myself, but with others,
As a team.
uh, as a team. Absolutely. So that really helped out, and you know, learning to bring that adversity over to the world of dance was a bigger challenge
Yeah.
because it wasn't about having hair or no hair. It was just, this is what you need to look like. And, I don't know if you remember, but it wasn't until I think the year was 1999, I believe, or 2000. And I was dancing in Nell's. It was on a Wednesday night in Manhattan. And upstairs was a strictly Cuban theme bar music nightclub. And then downstairs, it was, our music, our R2
Mm.
dancing. And, some of the elite dancers would be there and some artists would show up, like El Canario would just randomly just chill
Yep.
and show up. And I remember I was dancing there and Abby Plotkins, who was the director of the Mambo Mamas at the time.
Yes. God
She's
rest
got
her
to be,
soul.
yes, yes, she's loved and missed. And she gave me her card, and I didn't know what the hell this woman wanted from me. And and then I found out that she was the director of this all women's dance troupe, and all the women were obese. I think
Mm.
the skinniest woman on the team was like 300 pounds. And I went home that night even more defeated because I said to
Why is
myself,
that?
man, this is embarrassing. I'm trying to get my foot, some type of credibility in the scene. And I have this obese lady asking me if I want to dance for an obese team. I'm not trying to go in that direction. Um, but little did I know that she was one of the most respected choreographers and dancers in the
Yes, in the
scene.
dance world.
Yeah, absolutely. At the time, yeah. And for me, I just said, you know what? The hell with it. It's a door. I don't care what the door looks like. If the door is slightly open, I'm going to take advantage. I have nothing to lose. And
Yeah.
I gave her a call, and she said, yeah, we need the team was called
The
the
mamas and the
Mambo
papas?
Mamas, but they
Okay.
needed a papa. And the reason why they needed a big guy was, they needed a big guy to lead these big women around the dance floor. And they were putting this new choreography together for the LA Salsa Congress. I believe it was in
Mm.
2000 or 2001. And that basically gave me my big break because if it wasn't for them, I would have never been off Broadway.
Right.
Um, because they were chosen to be part of this off-Broadway musical, danceicle called Latin Madness, that was directed and co-directed by Carlos Mendoza. They were scouting, try to create this new play for Latinos, by Latinos, for the dancer, by the dancer. And they wanted to introduce the evolution of Latin dance, not from a ballroom
Amazing.
perspective, not from a jazz, ballet, contemporary, modern, but from our street perspective, from
Right.
the Palladium Mambo era, Africa to Cuba, and from Cuba to Puerto Rico. But if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have had that opportunity to be off Broadway for 4 years. So it's
Wow.
yeah, it's quite a
That's
journey.
amazing. And I wanted to pause you right there because,
Yeah,
as folks know, listeners and watchers know that this is about the Free to Be Mindful podcast is about mindful living, mental health, and personal growth. And through life, regardless of your upbringing, we all go through some things that are hard for us. Some of us may think other things are easy, but everybody has their own perspective. But regardless of what that hard thing is, there's so many times that it's so easy to just give up, to just throw in the towel, to say, this is not for me. I can't do this anymore. Or I'm not even going to attempt to do that because it doesn't look like me. It's not for me. They don't accept me. Nobody's like me, whatever the case is. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to stress upon for the listeners and viewers how important the message of perseverance is to keep going, especially if you have something in your heart, because you never know what opportunity it is that's going to open, even at least a little bit. And you really don't know until you tried. And here, and folks who don't know Mario B, he's famous. He's like legit famous out there. You heard him say Broadway. There's a lot of other things that he's done, which he's going to share in a little bit, hopefully. But you've done a lot of things, and it all started with, the perseverance, like keep going even after so many doors have closed. So that's really, really amazing.
No, I mean, when I know when I mentioned punching bag, we're thinking literal, but I was a punching bag from so much bullying. I remember when
Mm,
I don't want to get emotional because when I think about this, I do get emotional. But I remember we hired Danny, the gentleman who introduced me to the world of salsa, and he was our photographer when I got married. And it struck me. I've never heard him say this, but he said to my wife, like in a personal conversation, he was sharing how he knew me and how long he met me and how long you've known me and what he's experienced with me. And he said to my wife, he said, we all really thought that one day Mario was going to kill himself
mm,
from so much of the physical abuse, the verbal abuse. Um, I remember hiding behind cars, um, just trying to get home from school,
mm.
because I was picked on so much because I looked different,
Yeah,
and the struggle was real. The struggle was very, very real, and at that time at 7, even if I was assigned a therapist at 7, you don't know
tough.
what's going on. You can't comprehend what's going on. You're only in fight or flight mode. It's either you fight or be fought.
Mm,
Um, so when I tell you I've been through some stuff, I've been through a lot. So for me to want to continue to keep punching back and keep fighting and not resisting, and where when someone says no, 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 I mean there's got to be more. There's got to be more for me. There's got to be a reason for me to keep pushing. And the struggle is real. The struggle is real.
yeah.
And I don't want to say everything happens for a reason, but those stages in my life really allowed me to be as strong as I am today and to accomplish what I have accomplished today. So I don't want to say I'm grateful bit for being a punching bag, but it definitely made me stronger and wiser and definitely more aware of my purpose in life.
Yeah, 1,000%. And thank you for being so vulnerable for sharing, that
Yeah,
those parts of your stories. And I know there's so much more, whatever you feel comfortable in sharing, but
yeah,
it does shape you into who you are today and then how it can inspire others through your journey. My personal motto, it's written on my wall there, it's learn, grow, and inspire. We're forever learning as human, and we hope
yeah,
that we continue to grow as human beings and then use what we've learned and grow to hopefully inspire other people. And that's exactly what you're doing, not only with your business, but also with your message that you share on various platforms. So taking it back to mamas and papas, here you are, dancing on Broadway or off Broadway. And, how'd you get your salsa studio going and then to where you are now?
Uh, it actually started with when we started doing the auditions for Latin Madness. I didn't realize that one of the young ladies that was also part of the cast was from Hoboken, and
Mm,
she also went to Hoboken High School, and her name was Brenda Ramos, and I knew her, and I said, "Man, what a great opportunity." That not only am I working with her on a professional level, on a professional stage, but maybe we can collaborate and work together in a dance studio and teach together, and who knows what can happen from there. And I asked her, and she said yes. So we started teaching together, And then I put a choreography together, and we started performing. And we were, Mario B and Brenda. And I remember the first gig we did was in London, I believe in 2001. And that pretty much, again, opened up a door where I was able to establish a name for myself, but individually as a couple, not so much as a team with the Mama
Hmm.
Mamas. Because the crazy thing is, the second year, we meet in the theater and we're having our meeting, and I noticed that Abby's not there and the rest of the other women are not there. And I'm looking around and I said, okay, and I'm coming from Jersey, and pay tolls, you go out of your
Yeah,
way.
yeah, but you missed the memo.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm like, did I miss something here? And then I remember someone said to me, "Oh, you didn't hear?" And I said, "No, I didn't hear." I said, "Oh, well, maybe you should speak to Carlos." So went to speak to Carlos Mendoza, who was a director, and he said to me that they let the Mambo Mamas go,
Oh,
but they decided to keep me only because I was funny.
wow,
Not
wow.
not even because I was a good
No
dancer,
dancing skills.
nothing. They just thought I was funny. And then there goes another blow to my heart. Here I am, I'm trying to build, credibility as a dancer, and they're like, "No, you're just funny." And I was like, "Listen, it is what it is. It's another opportunity. At least I'm still part of the cast." And yeah, I mean, 4 years I was on there. I was a senior cast member of the show, and I was there from start to finish. But I really felt bad that they weren't called back
Right.
for the following year. But at least I stood around, and I was, just because I was funny. And that's okay. That's okay.
That's okay. Got you somewhere.
Yeah. Listen, and I want everybody to understand. I have, well, at the time, I had zero experience in dance, zero experience in theater and
Right.
acting,
Performing.
stage, anything, nothing, nothing. I was, especially in school, because of what I went through, I was the most introvert you can find. I was
Mm.
always to myself. I didn't associate too much with other people. So for me, this was very, very big, very different.
That is
So
so like crazy just to even
yeah,
comprehend because when even the scope that I know, which is I know it's a little bit compared to really where you've been and what you've done,
yeah,
it's insane to even fathom that you were such an introvert when you are so, I mean, you're an MC and you've performed and have done so many things
yeah.
that one would never put that connection together.
I was really learning as I was going, really.
Mm,
Just it was all trial and error. Just finding what works, what doesn't work, trying to put all the pieces together as I'm going. It's like, you have this big puzzle box of 500 pieces of a puzzle and it's just thrown at you. And
yeah,
and
where do you
that's my
start?
life. Yeah. And every day I'm just trying to take one piece to see which piece fits with the other. And at the end of the day, we're all organisms. We're all organisms, and we're all trying to learn and grow as we grow from this organism. And it's a learning curve, and it's
Yeah.
something that I think everybody should should not take for granted. I know in my heart we're all talented in something. We're all really great at something. We're not good at
Yep.
everything, but we're
Nope.
great at something. And
We just got to
you
find
know,
that what that
you just
thing
got to
is.
find it. And if you cut yourself short and stop short, you're not going to give yourself an opportunity. But I never thought dance would be um my opportunity to flourish and be my niche. I'm gonna share something crazy with you that I've never told anybody about before.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
This
all
is
ears.
just to go to show you how the world has changed and where we are today from 25 years ago. I was dating, I'm not going to mention names. I was dating someone from Brooklyn when I was taking classes in the early, early, early stages. And I remember I was in the weight room because I was still part of the high school team weight room. And I received a phone call from now my ex. And she said she was leaving me because she thought I was gay,
Ah,
that a man wasn't supposed to move that way.
wow.
So, yeah, yeah, talk about another punch in the face. So, there's challenges, man. We've come a long way. So
Well, those moves got you somewhere because now
I
you
mean,
move for a living and you use the analogy of putting these puzzle pieces together. So, Mario, I want you to be a little bit braggadocious for a moment. Tell us
yeah.
some of these puzzle pieces. Where have you been and what have you done? Just bullet some of them down.
Oh boy. I've traveled. I've been grateful to travel to over 40 countries just on dance alone. Not vacation, just being hired to teach, perform, either DJ. I host congresses now, and I think I'm very, very, very grateful to host the largest dance and music festival, which we call the New York International Salsa Congress,
Yeah.
held every Labor Day weekend in Times Square at the Marriott Marquis, which houses 2,000 dancers a day. And if people don't know what a congress is or a dance festival,
Thank you.
think of what a computer show or a car show would be at the Jacob Javits Center, or where all of these enthusiasts who share the same passion about something would go for the whole weekend and learn about what they love or buy fanatics or something like that. Well, that's what Dance Congress is about. It's about
Yeah.
going there, learning, taking workshops from domestic and international instructors, social dancing to domestic and international DJs from all over the world, getting to watch dance troops from all over the world showcase their talent. What else? There's competitions now that you get to see. People want to compete for, world championships and
Amazing.
cabaret or solo or on one or on two. Off Broadway for 4 years. I've been running my dance school now. I've been teaching for 20 years.
Wow.
I've been doing this for over 25 years. I co-host a podcast as well. If you notice the whole mic
Yep.
setup, Mambo in the City with Adrian Montanez. It's on Facebook and also Instagram, where we host musicians, famous musicians from all over the world.
Done a
Again,
lot.
without any education, I finally went to school with the help of motivation from my wife, who believed in me from day one. And also, I just want to start off with a seed that was planted 8 years ago. It's a crazy, crazy story that occurred. So there's a gentleman that I met and I've known through the salsa world, and his name is David, and he's a professor now at Arizona State University. And ASU is the only school in the country, which is mind-boggling to me, that teaches Latinx
No way.
stuff of dance education and the dance.
Wow.
Every school, if they have a dance program, it's ballroom curriculum or it's ballet, jazz, modern,
Right.
contemporary, lyrical, or maybe an African diaspora, but there's no Latin X. It just doesn't exist. So um, I was teaching a workshop in Tucson, Arizona, 8 years ago, and he happened to be there taking a workshop. And we rekindled and we're talking, and he took a workshop of mine, and he's like, dude, I just love your methodology, your ideology. I just love the way you broke things down. Can I take a private lesson with you? And I looked at him like, you crazy? Why would you want to? He's also performed and he teaches. He's a professor. Like, why would you want to take a private lesson? He goes, I think there's so much more that I can learn from you. Let me just. So we have an hour session, and this happens often. People would, say, hey, I want to bring you in. I want to hire you for this event or this and that. And 9 out of 10 times, they probably forget about you by the time. He didn't. He
Mm.
followed through, called me in about 2 or 3 weeks after that. Said, listen, I want to fly you in to the university, and I want to talk to the board of directors to see if I could bring you in to lecture and to teach, our classes and our urban classes. I'm like, this dude is crazy. I don't think he has any idea. I don't have a college education. I don't have an associate's. I don't have a bachelor's. I have nothing. I just have
Mm.
street credibility, just hustle credit.
Yeah.
But he saw something else. He definitely saw through me and said, there's a whole lot more than what you think, you can offer. And he did. They bought my airfare. They flew me down, and 7 years later, I'm their guest resident lecturer. And
Wow.
I go there for the week. I teach. both their Latin and urban programs. I lecture. I really get to know their community. I social dance with everyone. And because of that, because of David, because of my wife, it really allowed me to give me an opportunity to really believe in myself as
Mm.
much as, people would say, oh, you're good, you're the best, you're this, you're that. I didn't believe in what they were saying. I just
Even
didn't.
all these years later.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't. I know we should always stay humble, and it was just beyond the humble. I just didn't believe it. I still, after all of the awards and acknowledgments and the accolades, I still didn't see what people were talking about. I just didn't.
Mm.
And I finally went to a community college and I did 2 years of acting, theater, playwright, and drama. So I graduated with my associates, and then I just graduated with my bachelor's, and
Congratulations.
thank you, in history and my minor in Latin American studies.
Nice.
And I was just interviewed for my MFA, for my master's in fine arts. Hopefully, you know, toes crossed that I'll get accepted. And what I wanted to share with you was I was just hired yesterday, and I can't make this up.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, breaking news. Nobody knows this, that nobody
Ooh,
knows.
off the
Breaking
press.
news, breaking news. I was just hired as an adjunct professor at Rutgers University to
Nice.
teach the first ever Latinx course. Uh, I
Wow, that is
know,
so awesome.
I know, teaching dance theory, dance education. This is for the first semester. I even asked, am I going to follow someone's curriculum? What did they teach? They said,
Your own
it
thing.
doesn't exist. This is yours. This is a brand new experiment. We want to make our dance programs more inclusive. And I'm very proud of them because, like I said, everything is very either westernized or,
Right.
ballet, but nothing from, our
From
side of
our
the world,
community. Yeah.
yeah, we're no longer minorities, and I think people
Yeah.
need to start registering that. And I'm super excited. I'm very blessed. I'm very grateful um, that I'm going to be teaching and preaching the history and the origins, and something that I hold very dear to my heart because a lot of instructors, teachers, educators just really focus on the dancing, not so much on where the dance came
The
from.
pain.
And
Yeah.
it's that old cliche, in order for you to know where you're going to go, you got to know where you came from. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and I think especially nowadays, there's so much misinformation on YouTube or in the media, whatever. I think it's very important that our youth, if they are going to learn dance, they definitely learn, the history and that platform of the dance as well. There's just
Yeah.
more than just the steps and the patterns and all that good stuff. So I am super, super, I don't want to say lucky, but very, very honored and very grateful and humbled to be chosen. I mean, they could have called
Anybody. Yeah. So
anybody.
amazing. Congratulations. And you should be proud of yourself.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
so
you.
very proud of you too,
Thank you. Thank
because
you.
you just come such a long way. And there's two golden nuggets in there that I really want to extract for the
Yeah.
listeners and viewers. And the first is have mentors in your life. Because you never know. We don't know it all. And there's always so much that we can learn from other people. And the fact that you had this person to fly you out there and say, no, I see something in you that you can bring to other people, even when you didn't see it yourself. That is huge. Are you getting emotional on me? So
I,
proud of you. So that's the first golden nugget there. And the second one is
yeah.
that sometimes we put so much emphasis on academia. We put so
Yeah.
much emphasis, and I'll say even for the therapy world, for the letters behind our last names, for what we still, the certifications that we have to get, for all of these things. And sometimes we don't place enough emphasis on our own experiences and the way that where we've come from and where we've been, how that shapes us, who we are today, and again, how we can inspire so many other people. And it's that having that awareness, which is where you left off in your story, having
Yeah.
that awareness of I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in myself, but I hope that now you're starting to really see how again, your analogy, how the puzzle pieces are coming together
Yep.
and how much of an impact you truly have, not just in the dance community, but now on your future students.
Yeah, I mean it's I love planting the seed and like I said earlier, it's just trying to leave that positive footprint behind where, if I can do it, and I'm telling you, if I can do it, I sound like those old 3 in the morning infomercials, but if I can do it, anybody can do it. No educational background, no finances, never took out a loan.
Mm,
Yeah. Uh just hustling, just working very hard. And I guess it comes from the world of athleticism where I don't mind losing, but I don't like to be defeated if I know I can win. And
wow.
yeah, and I just kept fighting and just kept, finding a way. But having people believe in you, and I would tell my wife all the time, I'm not smart enough for school. And I hear from other people that they're not built for academia, or they're not built for college or whatever it is. We're all built in a certain way. You just have to find that outlet, and be surrounded by positive people. And again, if it wasn't for them, I probably would not be in the educational position that I'm in today. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm really
yeah.
thankful for them because it's brought you to where you are now. And going back to what I had just mentioned, that aspects of awareness, which is the thing at the forefront when it comes to mindful living. And I use the word mindful living and not mindfulness because people, I always say, Google mindfulness and you come up with meditation and you see somebody crisscross applesauce floating away next to a pile of rocks, on a body of water. And we can really embody mindful living in everything we do. And what I am seeing right before my very eyes is that you're embodying it right now, just having that awareness of like, wow, like this is my story and this is now where I'm getting to do. And then that aspect not only of awareness, but then that aspect of gratitude that you
Yeah.
just expressed of like this is where I am and I'm so very grateful
Yeah.
knowing like or maybe not knowing what's to come, but knowing that you're built for good and that you can make an impact. So I wanted to throw that back to you as far as how do you feel not only the world of dancing, which you hit upon earlier on when we were chatting, but also what you're about to do now, how that does intertwine with mindful living and with really embodying what you're about.
Well, I mean, as we all get older, my body can't keep up with these faster dancers of today, younger, definitely more athletic. And a lot of these kids nowadays already come into my world with, some form of dance training, tap or ballet or jazz. So I really found my true purpose more of not so much physical teaching, but mentally teaching. And I come to realize no matter how old you become or how frail your body becomes, we still have the mindset to educate and teach.
Mm,
And I really found my sole purpose in life, and that's really teaching, from that academic perspective. I did a quarter of a century of physical teaching,
right.
and I have to go to physical therapy 3 days a week. If not, my body does not function properly. So it becomes more and more of a, excuse me, physical challenge to keep up. But it's a new journey that I think it's really more important today, and that's mentally keeping everyone stable and keeping everyone just educated on truth and what's
Hmm.
facts. Um, and also just helping people understand how we can respect the dance a little bit more. I hear a lot, and I still get this in the dance studio where I get a lot of people, they hear the word salsa and they don't identify the word salsa with athleticism,
Mm.
balance. Um, they associate salsa with drinking and partying and a condiment used with chips. And when they and especially Latinos, right? We have this stereotype, oh,
Yep.
it's going to be easy for me. And they come in and they're the first ones to struggle, you
Yeah. It's
know?
an art form.
It is. And, throughout the years, I think what we do, teachers, educators, instructors, directors, it's a very thankless job.
Mm.
Like you said earlier, you still dance years later. It's still part of your life. And a lot of
A
people
little
don't.
slower, like you said, because the body doesn't work as good. But
Yeah, it
yeah, it's
doesn't
still
matter.
there.
It's still there. It's still there. But people don't see that in the beginning. And I think it's our responsibility as educators to help them respect and understand that there's a lot more to this, and 9 out of 10 people, just from my tenure and just from my experience, don't come in because they want to learn salsa.
Mm.
They just don't. It's either because um, weight loss. They want to lose weight. I spoken to a lot of women, and believe it or not, a lot of the women take class because they're trying to fill a void.
Hmm.
They probably don't get a lot of attention from their spouse. They're not getting attention at work, or they're looking for something. So, at the studio, they get that attention. I talk to a lot of guys, and the guys are trying to find their soulmate, or what's happening more and more today. I believe because of social media, a lot of these younger generation can't even look at each other in the eye and have a conversation
Right.
without looking down.
Right.
So try to build social skills, being in a room with other people and trying to find, comfort and not feel alienated, because you're used to talking to someone on the phone or texting or whatever the case may be. Motor skills. The older generation love taking class because it's brain exercises. You
Hmm.
have to count a lot of the times. It's a lot of memory. You have to memorize your steps. It's a lot of repetition. So in the mindful sense, dance is very, very therapeutic and so beneficial in so many ways,
Yeah.
that I think everybody should dance. And if it's not Latin, then you should tap
Anything.
or find something. Yeah, it's definitely, it keeps your joints somewhat loose and mobile. But there's so many health benefits. One touching story. I don't know if you know this. I remember while you were around, by the way, a dad brought me his son. He was a teenager, like maybe 16 or so, and he has Asperger's.
Mm.
And he wanted to involve his son in salsa because, he wasn't good socially, just didn't, um, felt very awkward and felt very uncomfortable around other people. And it really helped. It really helped him. So there's so many
So
health
many
benefits.
benefits.
It's
Yeah,
it's limitless. I've saved marriages.
I believe
You'd be
it.
su- you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. Also, as you know some people who met for the very first time in the studio and
Yes.
now
And got
have
married.
and they got married and have families. So
Yeah.
you never know. You never know. You probably just go into a class thinking, I got a good Groupon or whatever cheesy excuse it is, and your life changes for the
It can
better.
definitely change your life, and I am, a product of that, because I love what it's done for me, and thank you for I mean, it's such a perfect commercial of how
Ah,
really dance, integrates with mindful living, but all of the
yeah.
benefits that it has
Yeah.
outside of just learning the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. And I
Yeah.
remember my own experience when I used to go to the New York Salsa Congress, and thousands of dancers all dancing the same language, so to speak. I can't,
Yeah.
describe it in another way other than that. Just all dancing and speaking the same language. And as you said, nobody fighting, no issues. It's just such a beautiful thing. And back then, for me, it was just dancing. And I did join because of the workout, right? I was like, let's go, let's get in shape, which, fantastic shape back then, when, especially my performance days. But now I just have such a gratitude for it because I know on the other end, all the things that you can get from it, whether you're there at the studio 6, 7 times a week, like I know you are and I used to be, or whether right now I just, go to a social here and there whenever my body wants to cooperate with me. It just can do so much, for you, for whomever. experiences it. And for that, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for what you do and what you continue to do. Really what your journey is about. You shared where you're going a little bit. I know right now we're both experiencing about to have a baby journey, which is also really exciting. But based upon what we've heard, if I
Yeah.
were to ask you if you could be remembered for one thing for your life, what would it be?
Oh man. For me, definitely creating uh space and a platform for my kids to succeed. I have two daughters and now we have a son, my first boy on the way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And it's really creating a positive footprint, you know. I just want to leave a legacy behind where, you know, no matter what you encounter, keep striving. I try to embed that in my daughter as much as I can. Try to always talk about education,
Mm,
talk about a career, the future, how to plan, how to organize. But I didn't create this dance. I'm not going to complete this dance. It's an evolution of dance. I just want to be remembered for just breaking the barriers and just helping people understand and appreciate it just on a different level, just on the
yeah.
next level. And hopefully continue passing that torch and continue opening up that door wider and wider and wider. I mean, like I said earlier, just like, the LGBTQ plus community where we are now, where we can have that conversation.
Right.
Um, Back then, I know this is going to sound weird for some listeners, but I remember going to my first Congress. If two guys or two women were to dance with each other, it was blasphemy. I mean, they probably wouldn't make it home or to their hotel room.
Right. Not
Now,
anymore.
no, now everybody's dancing with each other, and it's like nothing,
Yeah.
I get asked to dance from a lot of guys, and I have fun. Sometimes this sounds crazy, but sometimes I have better dances with some of the guys than I do with
I
some of the
believe it.
girls.
They're
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, it is. So we've come a long way, but we need to continue in that journey and just keep fighting and just keep planting those positive footprints. But I just want,
Yeah.
if they don't remember me, that's fine too. I mean, we as a society we easily forget.
Through
Just
time, but I will say you've touched so many lives that you're leaving your footprint. You really are.
this is going to sound crazy. It's a bad joke, but it's really funny. If I think we just need to laugh more in life. The world is just too sensitive and serious now. But
Mm,
I keep saying to my close friends, that when I do pass away and when I'm in my coffin, um, what I want is them to put loud music on, and I want someone in the back just to shake the coffin so it looks like I'm doing a shimmy in my coffin. Oh man. But listen, I don't want people crying. I want people laughing. I want people we often cry because we're a bit selfish and we want people to last forever
right.
and we want them around. But I just want people to laugh and just remember the good times.
Yeah, well, you're definitely doing your part in all of those things you mentioned. So I thank you so much for your time. Before you go, you mentioned your podcast, Mambo in the
Yeah.
City. Let us know where else can people find you and if they're interested in taking classes.
Yeah, so let's see. It's called Mambo in the City podcast. I'm the co-host with Adrian Montes, and he actually, gets amazing musicians on there, from Eddie Palmieri to, up and coming artists. People could find me on my website. It's SalsaFever on 2.com. That's the number two. If you want to come and take classes, we have over, I mean, things have changed since you've been there, but we teach over 40 classes a month now.
Amazing.
Not just salsa, but we teach salsa, bachata, cha-cha, mambo. We have yoga classes now. We have hip hop. We even teach hustle classes. If anybody loves hustle, hustle is making a massive comeback now. Pachanga, come in. If you mention, this podcast, the first class is free. Just come on
Thank
down,
you.
just mention the podcast and we'll take care of you. If you want to learn how to register and get involved, all the information is up on the website on salsafeveron2.com. They can give us a call. We're also on Facebook, Salsa Fever on 2. We're also on Instagram, SF on 2. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're everywhere, making a difference and bringing
I'm,
so much joy to people's lives. So we
amen.
thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
today.
Thank you. Thank
And
you.
I'm not kidding, we're gonna have a part two or three because there's a lot more to talk about.
Oh, there's so much more. I mean, I'm just again grateful for you, grateful for the opportunity and creating this platform for people to share and hopefully people listen and hopefully they can become inspired and influenced by our struggles and knowing that you know there's this old cliche about dancers don't fall, we bounce,
Mm,
and just put a band-aid and just keep moving. That's the goal. Don't be so easily defeated. Like you said, I didn't know that I was going to be having this inspirational story. You just never know. You just never know what you do and what you can inspire others to do, and what just have someone overhearing your conversation, what it could mean to them. And I know I'm not the only one experiencing the hardship. We all do, and it's part of life. It's part of the struggle. It's part of the challenges, and just gotta jump over them.
you got it. And for that, I'm very grateful for you. So
Thank
thank
you.
you
Thank
so
you.
much, and we'll be chatting soon. My friends, I told you that it was going to be an amazing interview on the longer side, but we just had so much to discuss and so much that was left to discuss that Mario B will certainly be a repeat visitor to the Free to Be Mindful podcast. With all the golden nuggets that you heard today for today's guided active meditation, I'd like for you to take a moment right now, think about the story that you just heard, and now think about a moment in your life, a moment in time where you experienced something difficult. Maybe it was the way that you grew up, maybe a difficult relationship, maybe it was being turned down by an opportunity or a job that you really wanted. Regardless of what it was, these big letdowns that we experience in our lives, I believe, are there for a reason. They all have golden nuggets, or they all have learning points that we can take. And I want you to think of your situation, your big, intense, memorable, perhaps not for good reason, experience, and take what it is that you learned from that experience or from that series of experiences or from that time in your life. Think about what you learned and how you can use it for good. It's really hard to see what this good is when you are in the weeds, in the thick of things. But typically, in hindsight, as they say, is 2020. Hopefully, we can learn from them. And then, right now, my friends, I want you to think about how you can use those points. And perhaps for some of you, how you have used your experiences in order to inspire others, in order to motivate yourself to do more or to do different, maybe perhaps to do less in a good way. And of course, as always, remember that in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next time.